Okay, we're on. Welcome, everybody. And we usually have music today, but it's never not. We have so much to cover. We're going to eliminate the music. So, welcome to the Real Health Rebellion Radio, where myself, and Dr. Jerry, we're pulling back the curtain on the medical industrial complex to expose the truth. So each week you have learned that we're here to break down the science that they do not want you to know. We're talking about energy medicine, nutrition, electromagnetic fields, toxins, mitochondria. Dr. Jerry just has been enlightening me before we went on air about the chemtrails. So we want you to join the rebellion, join the movement, challenge the narrative, and reclaim your health. But before we do that, I just wanted to welcome and congratulate and take a quick moment to acknowledge the significance of this day, because today is Veterans Day. It's a dedicated time for us to pause and offer our deepest gratitude to all of the remarkable men and women who have worn the uniform of our nation. To every veteran, past, present, I thank you for your service, your immense sacrifice, and your unwavering commitment to our freedom. We honor your courage, we respect your dedication, and we remember that the liberties we discuss and enjoy are made possible by you and your family. So we honor you today and every day. Now we'll get on with the show. So welcome, Dr. Jerry, Dr. Wang.
Thank you so much. And all three of us, I believe, are veterans, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I serve, but I can't make the claim to be a combat vet. My oldest boy can, but I can't.
Well, just getting your inoculations during registration into the military.
Here come.
Yeah, they turn you into a pincushion.
That's
I
for
don't know,
sure.
when you went through the line, did they use the air guns?
Yes, one on each shoulder.
Yeah.
Corpsman sitting back behind me with a couple of hypos going into my butt. Yeah.
Yeah, my lymph nodes were swollen for 3 days after that. So
I can't discuss that with you, gentlemen, because I was a physician when I got drafted. I had already been in practice for 2 years when Uncle Sam pulled me in. So I had a little more to say about those shots than you guys did. If you know what I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, you went through the line with your shot record in your hand, right?
I'm taking the Fifth Amendment on that one.
Absolutely, right.
All right, so Doc.
God knows what they pumped us with.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that was just crazy. And they were all multi-vial doses, so they all had a lot of mercury in them. The multi-vial doses are the ones that have all the thimerosal.
Yeah, but
crazy amounts.
At least they didn't have graphene in there.
We get that from the air.
They probably popped up their air guns. That's right.
Yeah. They hadn't invented that stuff yet back then.
Oh, gosh. So, Dr. Wang, I think I told you and Dr. Jerry and I discussed before we get on with today's topic, we want to have a little segment that's called What They Won't Tell You, the news that will not air in the papers or in print or on the mainstream media. So, Dr. Jerry, do you have anything that is clear and unfiltered that you want to bring out to our audience?
Yeah, and it's also unpasteurized, too. So, yeah. I just wrote a little article about aspartame, how sweet it's not. People have no clue. The breakdown metabolites of aspartame is formic acid, which is going to cause inflammation. That's why you need zymesins, really. It's going to irritate the hell out of the body. Formaldehyde, and that's what your morticians use to preserve cadavers. And methanol is the third metabolite breakdown. And the FDA says it's all safe because it's at low levels. Well, you take a little bit of poison over a long period of time, it can't hurt you.
Dr. Wang, Dr. Jerry can relate to what I'm going to say. That methanol is in the stuff that Sterno is made of, and it's down there on Ray Street in Philadelphia. They drink it.
There was a conservative talk show host, a Mormon fellow, white-haired, I can't remember his name, who was drinking so much Diet Coke that the aspartame in it was making him blind.
Oh yeah, well, from the methanol. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had emails from patients thanking me because we had published years ago articles about aspartame causing chronic headaches, and
Yep.
it's a hidden pearl. It's poison.
Exactly.
And the interesting thing is, it makes no difference that it's quote artificial sweetener, as I think Dr. Wang you brought up. All these artificial sweeteners increase insulin, which increases systemic inflammation, which causes fibrosis. So your organs get nice and hard. I guess maybe they get bulletproof, so that's an advantage, right?
Dr. Wong, go ahead. You have so many pearls of wisdom. Pull one out.
Okay. Okay. I'm having a brain fart now. This is a senior moment. I knew what I was going to say a second ago. Well, let's touch on something else then. The great increase in estrogen, both environmental estrogen and dietary estrogen. Estrogen is the hormone of planned obsolescence. As we get older, past 40, 45, both guys and gals become estrogen dominant. That begins to harden the harden the internal organs, as you just said, Dr. Jerry, and it shrinks their size and diminishes their function. That's part of planned obsolescence. At the same time, we have a drop in nitric oxide making because we start making a hell of a lot more of a little enzyme called PDE5, and that kills nitric oxide. So between the vasoconstriction that happens from the lack of nitric oxide and the inflammation and hardening of internal organs, that speeds our death.
Right,
These days, so much estrogen everywhere. I mean, the Burger King, their veggie burger, whatever they had called it, had 45,000 micrograms of estrogen in it. Compare that to a 3 to 5 microgram estrogen birth control pill.
So, Dr. Wang, you mean I won't have to get my sex changed now? I just keep eating.
All right. Eat enough of those burgers and everything will shrink, and you'll develop vaginal lips and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go there, but now we know why the vegetarians look the way they do.
Exactly.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, last week I just want to make sure you realize that the seed oils aren't natural. They're cheap. They extend shelf life, and they're in almost every processed food. And that's what I want to get through to you today. Avoid the processed seed oils and ultra processed foods because they'll kill you. They put saran wrap over your cells. Oxygen cannot get into your cells. The toxins cannot get out of your cells. And no wonder everybody is so sick. And maybe that will be a segue into why the youngsters in this generation is aging faster than prior generations. So this was Dr. Jerry's idea. So I want to let him start off.
Well, back in 1936, Hans Selye did some fantastic research, and he showed 3 types of distressors: chemical distress, emotional distress, and structural distress. Your adrenals cannot differentiate among the 3 stressors. And when your adrenals keep firing, one of the big hormones that are pumped out are cortisol. And cortisol is a catabolic hormone that tears your body down. So if you want to increase longevity, you got to get rid of all these variables like aspartame and, eating stored food from plastic containers, and then eat real organic food whenever possible and take plenty of antioxidants, because the bottom line is your adrenals are going to overwork. The cortisol is going to shrivel you up, and you're going to have a short lifespan.
Well, that's number one for sure. And isn't it crazy, ladies and gentlemen, in our panel here, that don't you think we should be living longer and we should be sharper? We have cleaner water. Well, so they tell us, but we know better. But we have so many things that should be in our favor. But chronic disease is hitting earlier. Well, Alzheimer's is starting younger. Yeah, right.
We're not living longer. We're lingering longer.
Right. Yep. We're starting chronic disease earlier than normal. We're getting chronic disease earlier in our age, and cancer rates are rising.
Yeah, it's called mental pause. It's called PMS, poor memory sometimes.
All right. So you brought up stress. You brought up processed foods, Dr. Wong. What do you think about people aging faster? And we're getting more chronic disease than ever before.
I think it was Carlton Fredericks who coined the term foodless foods. Dr. Fredericks was a nutritionist back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And if you take a look at the food tables that USDA has, offered everywhere, they were developed in 1941. And in 1941, a carrot had this much vitamin A and this much protein and this much whatever. And they went through the entire list of foods, A through Z, and they figured out what the nutrient value of each food was. In 1973, USDA set about redoing the food tables to see if it still had the same nutritive value. They got to C. They got to carrots or something like that. And FDA asked them to stop the study, to not publish their findings, because what they were finding was that the food in 1973 had 1/4 of the value that it had in 1941. If that was the case in 1973, where the hell are we now?
So we're better off eating the cardboard box that it came in.
Exactly. You know, that actually might have more nutritive value. It won't taste as good, but it actually might have more nutrition in it. So, you know, just like feeding synthetic fertilizer to a plant to make it look all gorgeous and beautiful, but inside it doesn't have what it should have. The same thing happens to us when we eat these foodless foods. We think we're getting nutrition, we think we're being fed, but we're not being fed the right things, and we're not getting anywhere near the nutrients that we should be getting. And yet, strict allopathy still says, "Oh, don't buy vitamins and minerals. Get your nutrition from food." Yeah, right. They're making more customers for the medical system.
Well, you know, the other interesting thing is, you know, back in 1992, Bruce Tainio invented a electronic device to literally measure the frequency of the different organs of the body. And when you're eating this dead food, like Carlton Frederick said, foodless food, your frequency of your body is going way down. And when you hit, you know, 55 hertz to 59 hertz, you're open to flus and colds, and you get sick. It's just too, you know what I mean? It's too simple. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So what do you think the bottom?
But
no, I was going to say, go ahead, Dr. Wong, go ahead.
That also makes the case for doing pulsed electromagnetic therapy to heighten your frequency.
Well, I got to hear,
oscillator.
Yeah. Dr. Wong and Dr. Ron, I think I shared the information. Of course, Dr. Ron was a little bit skeptical, but I used my divining rods to test the validity of 81 hertz. A good friend of mine is a retired medical doctor and a surgeon into natural medicine. And he sent this article about this research project that was done out in Switzerland, where they discovered 81 hertz is a reboot frequency for the body, meaning, you know, when you turn on your computer, it's connecting the hardware to your files, basically. And 81 hertz, being a reboot frequency, connects your cell function to the master blueprint that's running your body. So, yeah. So the other interesting thing, supposedly the med beds are coming out in January, and they're stating that before you get any treatment with the frequency modality, you'll have to resync your body to the Earth's frequency, the Schumann frequency of 7.83 hertz. So just as laughs and giggles, I treated myself 5 minutes with 7.83 hertz, 5 minutes with 528 hertz, which stimulates repair of your DNA and testosterone. I did 10 minutes of ozone, and I also did, I think, 10 minutes or 15 minutes of 81. Well, that night I stayed up till 3:30 in the morning watching a movie series got up at 9:45 the next day, and I wasn't tired and I wasn't mental fog.
Good deal.
So what do you think the root cause? If ultra processed foods, too much estrogen, what do you think? What does it disturb in our body? What is the root cause? Do you think it's only the mitochondria, or is it just the mitochondria?
So
Got to be
every
more than one thing.
the whole
Okay, so what
Yeah.
do you think?
It's an entire spectrum of stuff. So we have the foodless foods. We have all the noxious poisons that are purposely put in foods to make us sick and make us customers of pharma, permanent customers of big pharma. And early on in our lives, we have all the inoculations. As you mentioned years ago, Dr. Ron, there were no autoimmune diseases before the advent of inoculation. Very true. You can look through any pathology textbook from the 1940s and 50s, the early 50s anyway, and you won't find any mention of autoimmune conditions. So given all the stuff that we've been pumped with, all the stuff that we've been made to eat, and the stuff that we've been exposed to, it's all come together in a giant conflagration to reduce our lifespan and make us sicker.
Well, another interesting observation is the fact that in my clinical experience, I'm finding the tetanus vaccine is being trapped in the left lobe of the thyroid gland from childhood. Even though you're an adult, it doesn't leave. So between that and the fact that 40 to 60 tons of particulates are being dumped on our planet annually from these so-called chemtrails. And I think if I had to pick one single factor that's causing the demise of humanity, it's going to be the geoengineering.
They're getting the planet ready for alien invasion.
Well, we're already invaded by aliens. They're living in Congress. As what you call Senator John Kennedy, which he's one of my heroes, he said when the baby is developing in the womb, his brain starts working, and it continues to work until he gets to Congress. Unreal.
Well, I agree with all that, but I think modern lighting, I think you can't ignore that. You can't ignore all the blue light, all the light that we get that's not natural. We eat at midnight. We don't sleep right. We barely see the sunrise. The sun has been demonized, and we don't really get enough movement, and we live in a soup that's been described EMF soup. Constant exposure to Wi-Fi, cell phones, smart meters, 5G. I think all of that plays a role in aging us faster than we should be. And the head is roughly 12 pounds. And for every 1 inch it moves forward, it doubles in weight. So with all these kids looking down at their cell phones, looking to hell, as I say, they're all going to be bent over and nearsighted. I mean, they would never be able to fight for the U.S. in any way possible unless they crawl on their bellies.
They've already got the kyphosis and dowagerism that we see in little old ladies.
Yeah,
exactly. It's going to occur earlier.
Well, if they put a jock strap over their face and their arms through the other loops, it'll keep their head back. We're living through some really crazy times. And, the problem is we've all become prisoners on the planet, as Alex Jones describes it, as a prison planet. And the other crazy thing is the stress factor. So if you're listening to CNN, ABC News, CBS, it's all stress induced. And when you're stress induced, your blood leaves the frontal cortex to the back of the brain, and you're much easier controlled by the establishment.
It's feudal lobotomy.
Yeah, exactly.
So there it's multifactorial. I agree with that, but I think you start off with a good point with the ultra processed foods. They're toxic. toxic soup, you want to eat it, go ahead. We're not getting enough sun exposure. We don't move very much. We're not really spiritual at all anymore.
Well, that's because your pineal gland becomes calcified with the fluoride.
Well, that starts it off for sure. We don't. We just have removed a lot of stuff from our daily life and replaced it with artificial stuff. We're chronically stressed. I mean, I agree with that 100%, Dr. Jerry.
Well, the other point, if you go to your doctor, he's going to tell you you're deficient of statin and drugs and aspirin.
Sure. Yeah, they'll find some deficiency, but we forget that we have a great pharmacy that was given to us by God. It's in our bodies, but we're not using it. The doctors don't know how to diagnose what is not in a pill form. They have the pill for an ill mentality. They've been raised that way, and now that the physicians are employees, and I just heard from a good friend of mine that just resigned from the AMA. He said, these young guys get out of school, they get a contract. It seems great. After the contract is up, usually 2 years, they have to renegotiate another contract. But the next contract, their salary is decreased. And so they say, well, we're going to leave. Then they're going to say, well, you have a no-compete clause with us, with all the hospitals we own, and all these conglomerates own hospitals throughout the whole state. So these kids are really in a bind. So they have to make a decision to leave the state or suck it up and just do what the boss tells them to do. And they lose all critical thinking even more.
Well, that's what the casinos did years ago in Jersey. Remember, there was that nightclub right across the bridge.
Chubby's. I forget now. Been a while.
Yeah, but anyway.
The Latin Casino we had over there.
Yeah, the Latin Casino. So the bottom line is all the top line stars, when they signed contracts to perform, they couldn't perform within 60 miles radius of the casinos, and the Latin Casino went belly up.
Yep. So it's a multi-factors of why we're aging faster. So beside food, light, movement, meaning to life, and what else do we have?
Well, you gotta, if you got a bad wife, that's a big stress factor.
Well, it reminds me of Henny Youngman. He said to his friend, "How's your wife?" The friend said, "Well, my wife's an angel." He said, "You're lucky. Mine's still living."
I feel like Henny Youngman told his wife for their 50th anniversary, "I'm going to take you to a place that you've never been to." She says, "Where's that?" He said, "The kitchen."
Well, one more and then we'll move on. I have a dear friend. He's married over 50 years. I said, "Angela, what's the secret to your marriage?" He said, "Well, when I was 25 years married, I took my wife and we went to Italy." I said, "What the heck are you going to do for 50?" He said, "I'm going to go back and pick her up."
I love it. Well, the whole our whole environment today is stress. People don't realize it. You get into your car, I don't care if it's a battery operated or not, you put your key in the ignition, the electrical impulses, the electromagnetic field in the steering column is zapping you. That's one of these hidden little pearls that people don't realize.
And add all the extra Wi-Fi and all the GPS and everything else that cars do these days. And they're really fun to have. Really neat to be able to answer your car just from your steering wheel. Answer your phone from your steering wheel. But all that has a physiologic cost.
Well, how about your smartwatches? I see these people. I went into a car agency to get my car serviced one time, and the young girl was telling her coworker how she's fainted a number of times, and her doctor can't figure it out. She went to the hospital, and they couldn't figure it out. And I said to her, "Kelly, come on out from behind the counter." She had one of those Apple smartwatches on, and I said, "Put your arms out." And I muscle test her. She couldn't hold her arms off. I said, "Take your watch off." She put it on the countertop. I couldn't get her arms down. I said, the electronic magnetic field that watch is emitting is blowing out your thyroid and also your adrenals. And people think it's the greatest thing in the world to know your blood pressure right before you die.
Well, since we started on this rabbit trail, I don't know about what you're seeing up in Pennsylvania, but down here in Florida, we have a lot of AFib. We have a lot of arrhythmias. I had dinner the other night with an ex-FBI agent that had his cell phone in his pocket next to his heart.
Well,
I said,
close.
there it is, baby. You know why you're having these arrhythmias and you're always being monitored. And I must say that 2 days ago, there was an article from the CDC opening the door to saying that electromagnetic fields can cause heart arrhythmias. So,
Yeah.
a little late to the game, but at least they're getting there.
Yeah. Back when.
Well, that was a direct call to the Hoover Institute, right?
Back when there used to be a website where you could monitor HARP activity in Alaska or anybody else, either the Russian HARP or the Chinese HARP, I made a discovery. This is about 15 or so years ago. The folks that I knew that have AFib, arrhythmia, tachycardia, they all got worse on the days when HARP was high and beamed to a particular part of the country, like Texas. HARP was used back in the 20 teens. We had a really bad drop, and HARP was used to basically create rain, and it was very successful. The lake that I'm sitting in front of went completely dry for 2 solid years, and all the experts said that it would take 10 years to refill. It refilled in 2 days. But during those days when the HARP was beaming really strongly onto Texas, all of the folks that I know here that have AFib, arrhythmia, tachycardia, they all got worse, and a good many of them actually had angina. As soon as the HARP stopped, it stopped.
Well, it's interesting. I was listening to this interview, Tucker Carlson, with this guy, Bain Wigington. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He was an electrical engineer from California. And he was saying how the Chinese have perfected snow production. So and floods. So when Texas had that flash flood that killed, was it like 21 people right away? That was all done by China. And the same when you had snow in Florida and the cold spells, the same period that you had those snowing in Texas and Florida, the temperature went up 32 degrees in Antarctica.
Wow. If you remember back during the early Biden years, there was severe flooding in Red China.
Yeah, 47.
It looked like
47. Yeah.
It looked like the Three Gorges Dam was going to break.
Yeah.
That wasn't on purpose. We did that.
Of course.
And so we've been playing weather warfare with either the Red Chinese or the Russians or both for God knows how long.
Well, the Navy and the Air Force have been working on it since the 40s. And, sometimes the snow, it's like plastic. It's not even real snow anymore.
That'd be great for a ski resort.
All right, we're hitting the 29-minute mark here. So what do we advise our listeners to combat getting old now in 40 and 60 when it used to be later, aging, getting more chronic diseases, and realizing that it is all done on purpose to keep us in the system so they can make money? What do they do to rebel against this? Because we want them to be rebels and join our movement.
Yeah, the first thing I would recommend is you buy an early ticket on Elon Musk's flight to Mars, because traveling through space, you'll get younger. No, all kidding aside. In other words, you got to let go. Like we said before the show, you got to enjoy every moment, every meal, every friendship. And because we can't control what the hell's going on, but eat as clean as you can, say your prayers over your food, go to church or synagogue or whatever on the weekend, and just enjoy each moment as if it was your first, not your last. That's it.
Yeah.
And my contribution is the solution isn't going to be a high-tech one. So as Dr. Jerry said, eat real foods, avoid seed oils, go outside, enjoy the sun, build your muscles, exercise. Dr. Wong had a great interview with me about how that's more important than all this aerobic running. And a deep restorative sleep, touch the earth, go walk with your bare feet someplace, okay, and reconnect to the meaning of your life. So we have to get realigned because we have been misaligned. That's my contribution.
Well, just real quickly, I think you should get the resistance on your remote stiffened so you're built muscles in your jeans.
All of the video game players have strong thumbs.
Yeah, they do. And I always tell my patients when you're picking a surgeon, make sure that they are good video game players because all the new equipment relies on a lot of tactile sensation from the hands. So make sure they can play video games and make sure that the plants in their waiting rooms are not dying.
Be careful of old barbers and young surgeons. That's all.
Dr. Wong, I have a final question for you, and it's off topic. You make a great zinc product, and I've been using that zinc along with everything else that I take, especially for the C-scam. Could you tell us the relationship between zinc and copper? I have a feeling we are having a copper deficiency problem in this country because people are just taking so much zinc, they're not paying attention to the copper part of it. Could you make a comment on that?
Yeah. Go look up Dr. Larry Wilson. Larry Wilson was an MD with the U.S. Public Health Service, and he had access to a whole bunch of stuff that the U.S. government didn't want people to know, and he actually resigned and took a bunch of that stuff with him. Look up his book, which is free online, called Copper Toxicity Syndrome. Well documented stuff, secrets that the government knew, and from the jewelry that we wear and the copper pipes in many houses, most folks get between 11 to 13 milligram copper transdermally a day. Now, he makes the point that copper collects in the brain and is one of the major causes for everything from schizophrenia to some other mental conditions. And he talks about how to get copper out, and the only thing that can chelate copper out is zinc. But he makes the point that we're suffering from having too much copper, and it's all stored in the brain. It can't get out. It can't get to the rest of the body. And his work, or the studies that he borrowed from U.S. Public Health Service, caused me to take all the copper out of whatever supplements I had it in.
Okay, well that answers my query because I was unsure where to go with this. But if it's collecting in the brain and it got through that blood-brain barrier, it ain't getting out.
Right, exactly.
Well, also, when you have increased levels of copper, it causes depression.
Yes, bingo. Yeah. Yes.
It's a leading cause of disability worldwide is depression.
Yep. All right. Well, that's a good point to end this session on. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard what you heard the cause, and you heard some ideas of what to do to remedy it. So, be a rebel, be against the system, eat naturally as much as you can afford, clean water, clean air, get some movement in your life, and get some meaning in relationships and spirituality, and turn the Wi-Fi router off at night. Don't put the cell phone up near your ear. Don't open up that blood-brain barrier, which we know is now documented that you put that cell phone up near your ear and toxins get into your brain. And I think you'll have a chance of beating this chronic disease epidemic we now have.
And just remember, there's no luggage racks on hearses, so you better enjoy yourself every day.
Absolutely. Dr. Wong, any last words?
If folks want to take a look at fighting the stuff that can kill them, they could go listen to my lecture on YouTube. The lecture is titled "Fighting the Things Most Likely to Kill Us."
Yeah, that's a great one. That's about an hour or so, but it's sure worth the effort, ladies and gentlemen. I've listened to it a number of times. Okay, well, until next time, have a great Veterans Day. Salute a veteran, shake hands with a veteran, shake hands with one. We have lots of activity going on in my compound here in Florida, and I'm going to get to a mission barbecue lunch as soon as we hang up.
Enjoy.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Thanks.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Great.